It's 7:04, so I'd like to call to order this Town of Acton Cable Advisory Committee public hearing regarding the renewal of the cable television license of Verizon New England Incorporated. For the record, it is August 19th, 2019. Good evening. My name is Steve Davidson. I am the Vice Chair of the Cable Advisory Committee. Our committee chair, Oleg Valinsky, is unable to make it this evening due to prior commitment. Sitting to my right are other members of the Cable Advisory Committee who ask you guys to introduce yourselves.
Hi, I'm Terence Lobo, and I'm the clerk of the Cable Advisory Committee.
Hello, I'm Richard Logan.
Good evening, I'm Christine Simone.
Hi, everybody, I'm Lori Cooney.
This public hearing regarding the renewal of cable license of Verizon of New England is officially open, and I note that this hearing is being recorded by ActonTV. Is anyone else here have the intent of recording all or part of this hearing? Please identify yourselves. All right. The purposes of this hearing is to review the performance of the cable television operator, Verizon New England Incorporated, and to hear testimony on future cable-related needs and interests of the community. This is part of our continuing ascertainment process by the committee and the town. Public notice of this hearing was published in accordance with the regulations of the Massachusetts Cable Division, Department of Telecommunications and Cable, in the Lowell Sun, the Acton Beacon, and I have a copy of that announcement for the record. Here today from the Cable Advisory Committee are the folks that you were just introduced to, and attending as an observer for the Town of Acton Board of Selectmen is Mr. Peter Berry. Also present and working with the committee and the town on Verizon Cable License renewal is Attorney William Solomon. Verizon's counsel is not present today at today's hearing because Verizon views ascertainment as a municipal process for cities and towns to evaluate future cable needs and interests of the community. That said, Verizon Cable franchise manager would have attended tonight's hearing absent a previously scheduled matter. This evening's hearing will, of course, be part of the town's record and will be forwarded to Verizon at a later date, and a video recording of this hearing will be part of the official record. Attorney Solomon, would you like to make some introductory comments?
Thank you. Good, thank you. William Solomon, the town's special cable counsel. I've worked with the town on the last two rounds of licensing, 2 rounds ago on the Comcast license renewal, which had just been transferred from Cablevision. After that, the Cable Committee, the Board of Selectmen, and I worked on about 10 years ago almost, on the Comcast cable license renewal. And earlier than that, 5 years before, the Verizon initial cable license, which I believe was 15 years. Both of these licenses are up within a few months of each other. As stated, this is the Verizon ascertainment hearing. I'd just like to make one comment. Typically, a cable license, a renewal, is a 10-year license. That's a long period of time, but in the world where there are some changing realities with respect to video and cable, I think it makes sense for the town to strongly consider and enter into a 10-year license renewal if the terms work for the town and for the community. That said, because it's a 10-year period, this ascertainment process, including very much this hearing, is very important. This is your chance to be heard. Sometimes one could be at a meeting in a town and 1 or 2 people get up and they might say, make a point, and then someone else gets up and someone might think, well, that point's already been made. But here, because it's such an important matter, hearing from everyone makes a difference. Oftentimes, if, let's say, you heard from 1 or 2 people and everyone else decided this has been said, I could sit down together with the committee with a representative of the cable company, and they could say, well, only 1 or 2 people spoke about that issue. It didn't seem like there was a great interest or urgency. So this is your chance, please. Even if someone else makes the point, feel free to come up and make that point if it matters to you. Take the opportunity, because this will make a difference in the license renewal with Verizon. So thank you.
process will be as follows. We're going to begin with a presentation by ActonTV. And after ActonTV, we'll then hear from the superintendent of the Acton-Boxborough School System and then the Town of Acton Information Technology staff. We'll then open the floor to public comments and/or questions. Those will be followed by any follow-up questions or comments by members of the Cable Advisory Committee. If anyone has time limitations, please make me aware of them so I can be sure to slot you in as early as possible. And so ActonTV, Mark, the Executive Director of the ActonTV, Mark Ducey, will begin his presentation.
Good evening, everybody. On behalf of ActonTV, I'd like to thank the Cable Advisory Committee for the proactive ability of being able to come in and talk about the renegotiations. And I'd also like to thank Attorney Solomon for his guidance in the matter. And I'd also like to thank everybody for being here tonight. Thank you so much. It's great to see such support. Really appreciate it. I wanted to start out by introducing myself. My name is Mark Ducey. I'm the Executive Director here at ActonTV, and I've been in this position for a little over 4 years now. Before that, I spent time in Access for the last 12 years. So I've been in Access since 2003, and I love what I do, and I really enjoy being here in Acton. So just a very, very brief history. ActonTV was formed in 2010. We're a 501c3 nonprofit organization, and our mission is creating community through media by providing the technology, facilities, and expertise to encourage free speech and inspire creative expression. We were originally an organization that was run by Comcast, but when they decided that they were no longer going to support that, the board decided that it was important enough to continue access in Acton, and ActonTV was formed. We currently have 5 staff, 3 part-time and 3 full-time and 2 part-time staff, as well as 9 board members. And in the last 4 years, we've got about 200 members since July of 2015. So PEG Access, everybody knows what PEG stands for: public, education, government, but it's more than just the 3 channels on TV. It's a very community-oriented acronym, with the public being, the way we work with the community. We have a whole lot of partners in town and surrounding areas, including the Rotary Club, the Middlesex West Chamber of Commerce, League of Women Voters, Acton Women's Club, Food Pantry, Community Supper, Minuteman Arc, Household Goods. So we're working closely with our neighbors and working with that community connection. The education is really important to us. We believe in training and educating people, whether young or old. We have a fantastic youth program that is put together by one of our staff, Pat Snow, and it's fantastic. We have a kids camp going on this week, actually, for 10 to 13-year-olds, and every other Saturday during the school year, we have the AB Youth Media Project that consistently gets 14, 15, 16 students there, and they're all learning how to shoot, edit, everything that has to do with media. And really we're trying to get our youth involved more in media because they are our future. And in the government side, we cover these meetings, obviously, but one thing that's really important is that we're also an archivist for the town. All of the meetings that we cover are easily accessible by anybody with a computer. So it's important if you want to go back in time and look up anything, we have that available. So I wanted to show everybody sort of a brief snippet of what we do, but it's hard to put together everything that briefly when there's so much great stuff going on. So what I was able to do was work with Pat to create a highlight video that shows a lot of not just staff-produced, but member-produced stuff, and then again, some of that education that I was talking to you about with the kids' camps. And so what you're going to see here is about a 9-minute video that is a little bit of everything of what ActonTV does. So enjoy.
Takes a play to Goddard. Nice pass. The shot is saved.
There's a save by Switzy. Just like that. Don't shoot it there, my friend. Touchdown!
Oh my God!
Yankee with nothing on the clock. With the game, no flag.
Oh my God! Talia, can you tell me what he is?
He is an alligator.
Yes, he is an American alligator. And when we do...
I'm so excited today. I don't know how I landed this interview, but I have with me Detective Michael Ireclio from the Acton Police Department.
And I know a lot of people think that aesthetics and medical, usually women take advantage of all the services, but we do have many loyal male clients.
They even feel these needles going in. They are so thin, it's almost impossible to tell that they're going in. I've had needles in the past that I felt, but these I don't really feel. These are very, very thin.
Hello, I'm Pete Duran from Acton's Council on Aging Board. Here to tell you about just a few of the things going on this month at your senior center.
It's fun beyond the star. It's near beyond the moon.
Yeah, we're doing Mexican party today. We get started with tomato to just cook the rice, and I use canned tomato and I use fresh.
Hi, I'm Ed Knights, president of Theater 3. This time, Theater 3 is doing My Fair Lady.
We will be highlighting at least one health benefiting ingredient. With our shrimp avocado lettuce wraps, we have our fresh cilantro here.
We utilize state-of-the-art diagnostic testing, comprehensive balance testing, and video recorded eye movement evaluations to assess the integrity of your neurological system.
Larissa Dayan, she owns of a collection Russian nesting dolls, and she have many other things to say. So tell me, dear, what part of Russia you come from?
And I'm going to leave that up to Daneshi now to tell me more about herself.
Currently, I'm leading a project, a massive statewide project called Mass Yoga Meditation.
I'd like to expand for our audience, what are opioids?
So opioids are substances that bind to opioid receptors in the brain.
It's called The Blizzard and Me. Good thing I was in shape for the blizzard of '78. Ran 10 miles a day throughout my high school years, class of '77.
Hi, welcome back to Taste of Change. I'm Dr. Irina Coles, and today I'll show you how one little change can make your meal much healthier.
Hi, I'm State Senator Jamie Eldridge. Welcome to another edition of Half Hour on the Hill. My guest today is Kelly Jenkins, a teacher and constituent of mine.
Pre-colonial communities in Africa were rooted in families and extended family systems.
If you measure out a cup, it's 80 calories, and I put that in a bowl for I call it a sweet treat, and when I have a craving for ice cream, I love to do this. So the frozen cherries in a bowl, and I sprinkle either cocoa powder over it.
Here I am out in this orchard, and it's huge. They have over 10,000 trees here. They have over 83 different varieties of apples, and now is the time to come apple picking.
Visited Masala in Somerville, Massachusetts to speak with a chef and the restaurant owner. Tomer Thapa is a Nepali chef.
Welcome to Business Matters. Today we are here with Peter Daniel of Rapscallion Table and Tap here in Acton. How long have you been here now for?
We are in our 4th year.
We're going to make this desk here. I call it a desk because it has a drawer, and that's what makes it different.
I'm Vika Soni here with ActonTV and the Youth News crew at the 2018 Acton Farmers Market. I'm really excited to see what the Farmers Market has to offer.
We're here to get coverage of the Acton Lions Club Fair. Oh, I feel like I'm in zero gravity! Oh, never again, never ever again!
Hi, my name is Drew Ned Carney, and today we are covering the second annual Telangana Floral Festival.
What is the Garden Club fundraiser?
What is the Garden Club fundraiser? This is our biggest fundraiser of the year.
What's your favorite thing about this walk?
I just like seeing the whole community celebrating the people that Minuteman Arc serves.
What's the most popular exhibit here?
All of the exhibits are equally popular, but what I find is that each of our visitors has their own favorite. So
2018 is a very special year for us because it marks our 25th anniversary of our affiliation with the Boys and Girls Club of America.
All of my men elected me captain when Acton raised its Minuteman Company at the end of 1774. That was a few months ago.
You know, the coolest thing about snow tubing is it doesn't take any skill to slide down the hill. So you get that feeling and that exhilaration of going down the hill with the wind in your face.
Behind me, the firefighters here at Acton are training on new life-saving equipment.
Each of the 3 engines are equipped with extrication equipment, commonly known as the jaws of life. So there's a spreader and a cutter here.
Fundraising, garden gazing, and savory Italian dining. It all took place right here in historical downtown Concord, where tour-goers enjoyed views of private gardens at the Concord Museum's 29th annual garden tour. And a local restaurant made sure they were well fed.
Talk of the Town was invited with the traffic division of the Acton Police Department to go to a very busy intersection off of Massachusetts Ave in West Acton Village for a crosswalk enforcement operation. Led by detectives Christopher Prale and John Stackhouse, the results were very surprising.
I'm here at Whoop Fest 2018, put on by Buddy Dog. Behind me here is where all the dogs are competing and doing frisbee tricks. It's really cool. The parking lots are full today. Everyone's dogs are getting along. It's a beautiful fall day, a little sunny for us here. So let's go talk to some people and check it out.
Hi everyone, this is John Mangiarotti for this week's edition of the Town Manager Report. We have some exciting things happening in town. One that I want to make sure everyone aware of is on December 3rd, there will be a special town meeting.
Mark McDonough, creator of Viva East, the East Coast premier rockabilly weekender and car show, held this year's event at the Boxborough Regency. Let's go check it out.
Hello and welcome to the annual Cooking Challenge competition. I'm here with our first contestants, but first we're going to head over to our judges. Would you like?
Hello, little dog. Hi, Mr. Conductor. How about we make a trade? You get to drive the train, and I get the food. Yes, yes, yes! Best day ever!
Like what?
We just need a shot of him jumping off the roof.
You signed the liability waivers, right?
Yeah, we did.
Okay,
cool.
Perfectly safe.
We're gonna have to retake that. I wasn't recording.
So probably in poorly. So let's go.
Greetings, viewers. In the following minutes, I will be instructing you on how to construct the perfect lunchtime sandwich.
Now all we gotta do is start and enjoy.
So as you can see, we have quite the variety of programming. And I have to just say one thing. I missed out on recognizing him earlier, but I have to thank the guy over there, Rick Degon, who's been here for the last 20 years. And ActonTV would not be where it is without him, so thank you, Rick. All right, so I really wanted to emphasize the community connection, and you can see with everybody here today how active and supportive a community we are lucky enough to have here in Acton. And a couple of the things that we really need to do during this negotiation is, number one, it's very important to continue funding ActonTV so we can continue doing what we're doing. You can see all the good that we're doing in the community. It's really important, I feel. So if we could continue that funding coming to ActonTV, that would be amazing. Also, one of the important things, I think, is visibility. And I know it's been a rocky road trying to get this, but HD has been here for a while, and not many access centers have HD, but I know it's coming, and I know for a fact that Danvers just got a HD channel through Verizon. So I know it's possible that we could be getting an HD channel, so I think we need to make sure that that's a check mark when we go to the negotiating table, and also an electronic programming guide, because when people can see what's on, then it's more interesting for people to tune in and just know what the community is doing. So if I'd like to end this by just requesting that the funding for ActonTV continue. We look into a possible HD channel and an electronic programming guide. And one last time, I'd like to thank you all. Thank you so much for being here. It means a lot. Thank you, and I can't wait to see what we can do in the future together. Thank you.
Thank you, Mark. We'll now hear from the superintendent of our school system.
Good evening, everyone, and thank you for letting me speak for a few minutes. My name is Peter Light. I'm the superintendent of schools for the Acton-Boxborough Regional School District. It's my pleasure to be here tonight, and I want to personally thank Mark and his whole staff for all of the work that they've done over the last year that I've been in the district to support our schools, so thank you. I want to speak on behalf of ActonTV and the importance of Verizon and Comcast access and technology funding as it supports the schools. ActonTV plays an integral role in helping the school district communicate with the community and also provides valuable learning experiences for our students. Some of the specific ways that we've benefited from our partnership with ActonTV include ActonTV sending employees to attend the high school career speaker events so that students can learn about careers in the TV production field. ActonTV having aired both live and on demand via the website many school events. Most of these are produced by AB staff, but ActonTV manages the broadcast and hosting of these. ActonTV also provides visibility to our athletic programs by broadcasting some of the high school's football, basketball, lacrosse, volleyball, and soccer games. Some of these are produced by ActonTV, while others are produced by AB staff, booster groups, or student volunteers. ActonTV also provides extended training, especially in the fields of live broadcast, to students who have an interest in the field, but have otherwise exhausted the offerings available to them at our high school. The ActonTV Student Media Project has an enrollment of 30+ interested students this past year. ActonTV also provides coverage of our AB Regional School Committee meetings. And finally, Verizon and Comcast access and technology funding supports critical institutional infrastructure across the schools in the district. Thank you very much for your continued support for ActonTV and your recognition of the vital role that this organization plays in our school-community relationship. Thank you.
Thank you, Peter. We will next hear from Mark Hald of the Town of Acton, representing the IT organization within the town.
Good evening. Thank you for having me. I'm Mark Huld. I'm the Assistant Town Manager and CIO for the town. I've been working here for about 19 years. In fact, bringing the INET to life was one of my first major projects in conjunction with the schools. The INET data portion is critical to the operation of the town. It connects about 42 facilities, town and school, and it supports about 50 servers for about 25 departments of the town. Over the years, we've added functionality to the network that goes well beyond plain internet access, email, and file sharing. We've added telephone and emergency communications, police and fire department dispatch, records, and two-way radio sites, building security and access control, utility system monitoring and control, and document management and disaster recovery. Beyond the data side of the INET, there's the video side that supports the town's increasing outreach and participation goals through the public education and government channels. These are now operated by ActonTV. They provide live and recorded public meetings and special events, and there is an event notice and a bulletin board which complements our website and social media outreach efforts. Thank you for the opportunity to comment.
Thank you. We'd now appreciate comments and or questions from the public. Several members of the community sent written comments, and the committee felt it would be important to enter them into the record. And what I'm going to do now is read a few excerpts.
You can't if you think it'll help the public.
I do.
Okay,
I do. The first one I wanted to provide is from the Representative Bonnie LaBelle from the Council on Aging. And she wrote, the Council on Aging Board considered ActonTV to be a vital resource for senior citizens in our town. It provides information to people who choose not to drive at night and therefore cannot attend town meetings. Many seniors rely on ActonTV's live streams and taped broadcasts to stay informed, and we enjoy the classes and social activities offered there as well. For the past 2 years, the Council on Aging has used ActonTV to promote all of the great activities at the Senior Center. We go to the studio once a month and tape a 3 to 5 minute segment that invites Actonians to come to the center for wellness, fitness, cultural, and educational activities. We have found getting our scheduled events out on ActonTV helps seniors attend activities that keep them active and healthy. One more to share. This is from Lisa Marcus Jones. I'm going to just jump to the meat of it. ActonTV is an important community resource for information and creating connections. My elderly neighbors watch Board of Selectmen meeting on ActonTV and sometimes have texted me in real time when I was in attendance in order to have their opinions heard. We are touched by the community service programs such as the Gino Dancing for Charity that help raise donations for worthwhile causes and otherwise would not have visibility. How better to create connections with my South Asian immigrant neighbors than by watching a cooking show like Favorite Eats. The ability for grandparents who live far away to see their grandchildren's high school graduation or the Acton Boxborough Concert Band concert is also very special. From cultural coverage to news about local events, ActonTV provides a service that cannot be found elsewhere. What many people may not realize is how ActonTV helps shape the lives of young people in our community. ActonTV has a wonderful summer camp program that our daughter attended during elementary school. That camp experience helped foster her nascent love of TV and film. When she was in high school, ActonTV gave her and her friends hands-on production experience, access to equipment in a safe, encouraging environment that they make their first forays into filmmaking. They formed a film club at ABRHS and assembled a crew of 25 plus young people to create their first dramatic film. At a time when our community needs media that pulls us together rather than deepening the divisiveness among us, ActonTV serves as an important role. A loss of funding for ActonTV would be a real loss for Acton. I now open the microphone up to members of the community. Please, before you make your statements, provide your name and address. Thank you.
Good evening. I'm Peter Berry, a selectman and resident of South Acton. Thank you for your commitment and the expertise you bring to negotiating this important contract and protecting the town's interests. I also want to recognize the ActonTV Board of Directors and Mark and his staff for the improved range of programs and quality of programming they've been able to produce over the years. I've been a selectman for 9 years. I'm continually impressed with citizens who come up to me and comment that they have viewed the selectmen's meetings and other board meetings in town on ActonTV, either live or on demand. And that shows why so many people have turned out tonight to support this effort. By bringing the Acton issues, town issues, out into the community for people who can't attend the meetings, allows citizens to be more informed about town issues and thereby improves the quality of debate in the public square. So for that reason, this is a very, very valuable service to the town. And I'm sure the entire Board of Selectmen would agree that we will support whatever efforts you need to adequately protect the town's interests in these negotiations. Mark mentioned funding. I have a question that's kind of off the topic tonight, but I think I've been reading in the papers that the administration is intending to cut back on the regulations or whatever law it is that requires, for people who don't know, ActonTV is not funded by taxpayer dollars. The cable providers are required by law to fund fees for allowing them to broadcast in town. And is the administration proposing to change regulations that would lower those fees?
Good question, thank you. The FCC has adopted a rule, rulemaking and a rule that will impact franchise fees, which support, as you said, PEG access in the town. In a nutshell, what that rule does, it allows certain cable license requirements to count toward the franchise fee. By counting those, and to count those at, quote, market value, whatever that might be. So that by counting those requirements, and I'll give two, PEG access, video return, the cost of the operating cost of that, or cable service to public buildings, things that have been considered outside of the franchise fee for 40 years that were negotiated by cable companies in towns in good faith negotiations where cable companies were certainly well represented. The FCC has decided that they were shocked to learn that, or decide after 40 or 50 years that somehow the cable companies had missed that and that these should count to the franchise fee. Because the town of Acton is at support, PEG access support or franchise fee of 5% of gross revenue. Anything else that gets added toward that would deduct from the 5% payment to you. The good news is that, well, one is the FCC took a pass for now on the question of whether the access channel itself, the value of that, should be counted to the franchise fee. I think, frankly, they did that to strategically help in a court case that will evolve here. But the good news is, with respect to the other items that are there are approaches that the town can take that the committee's talked about with respect to the INET and other ways to provide the INET service to the town through cable company contributions, or even cable service to public buildings where if the cost was too high, the town would have to consider saying to the cable company, all right, let's deny Johnny and Sally the Discovery Channel because you want to charge us too much. I think it's questionable whether Comcast would, after 40 years, would charge for those. So the answer is yes, there's risk. It's just starting to be played out, and the committee is working to try to minimize the risk. And additionally, there will be an appeal to the appeals court on that FCC rule. And on the last case 2 years ago, the FCC lost. And I think there's a more than reasonable chance that they would lose again, at least at the appeals court. So we're aware of it. It's something that we're concerned about, but we can try to take some actions to modify.
Thank you, and again, anything the selectmen can do, if there's a comment period on proposed regulations or whatever, please bring it to our attention, and I'll advocate for the board to write a letter to protect the town's interests.
Yes, absolutely,
Okay.
particularly to the cable companies themselves, and to ask them to be the good corporate citizens that they have been to date. So thank you. That'll be helpful.
And again, based on my experience, you can let the cable companies know that the turnout tonight shows that there is extreme interest. There's a very high level of interest in the town in these negotiations. Thank you.
Thank you. Other comments, members of the community? Oh, wait. She's been... Oh, okay, that's fine. I was aware of her before I was aware of you. Go ahead. Wait, is that mic on? You got to push the button. There we go.
Okay.
Good.
My name is Jeanette Otero, and I'm actually would like to thank ActonTV for the support that they have given us to parents of the Acton community. You have heard of the importance of ActonTV and the value that they bring to us. In my personal life, they have been supportive of my boys. We have 4 kids in the Acton system, and the two of them were directly involved with ActonTV. One of them was William Otero, who with filmmaking and baseball, and the other one is Victor Otero, varsity player of football, lacrosse, and hockey. ActonTV was always there for them, and it would be a shame if the kids from future generations won't count with the opportunity of having the support of ActonTV in their lives. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm very glad to be here. My name is Lynn Carlson, and I'm a small business owner here in Acton. My business is called Chiropro Performance Center, and we're at 30 Great Road here in Acton. And part of the mission statement I have for my business is to be an educator and to share information on health-related topics. So the ability to have access through the cable and through ActonTV services has been a game changer for me as a small business. This is an affordable way to have high-quality, professional productions that can then go on to be resources for people who are looking within our community for health care needs. So I'm a huge advocate of ActonTV. They've been nothing but completely professional. Their equipment is amazing, and their skill set of being able to edit and produce has reflected positively on my business with the work that they've put out. And it, again, is just such an access that I wouldn't have otherwise as a small business owner, and I am absolutely in favor of continuing any support and funding for ActonTV. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Next speaker, please.
Hello, I am Ruth Coles of 14 Prescott Road in Acton, and I'm here speaking on behalf of the League of Women Voters of the Acton area. The League does not support or oppose candidates for office, but we do study and take positions on issues. Our positions enable and encourage us to support continued funding and access for ActonTV. In this era, governments and everybody else needs as much access to everybody else as they can have, and ActonTV provides that access through airing meetings, such as town meetings and the selectmen's meetings and this meeting, and it airs the League of Women Voters candidate forums. It has aired them at all levels, including the congressional primary, and it has helped us create our own programs, such as How to Run for Office. And we have been using ActonTV services for probably as long as Rick Deegan has been here. I remember working with him before there was this gorgeous facility over in, I guess it's East Acton. And we really appreciate their helpfulness and their professionalism, and watching the improvements have been has been an experience for all of us. I believe that several members of the league have taken the courses on how to do all these things. And I'm not sure in my case it's stuck, but it has been eye-opening, and it has certainly helped us create our own programming. Well, in sum, the League of Women Voters very much supports ActonTV and continued funding at least the current levels and probably by the current mechanism. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Sam Gaddis. I live at 210 Stearns Hill Road, Waltham. I work with Mark. I do some of the disc golf productions that they do out of the ActonTV, but more importantly, I've been working in the television industry since 2011 as a news photographer, sports photographer, all sorts of things, currently working in the professional sports market here in Boston. The facilities Mark has are fantastic. The way that the station is run is really, really, really impressive. I remember the first time walking in to the station, just how impressed I was by what he's been able to do in access television. Before I started working professionally in the news market and sports markets, I got my start working at a access station up in northern Vermont. And just having a resource like that really was directly translated to the skills and the things I need to do every day at work. And just watching that video, I was blown away by the variety of productions and the type of skills that he's teaching the kids. I think are just so important, and just remind me of me being back in school and learning these same things. It directly translates to real world skills, and I think, this is an incredibly valuable resource, and I think a lot of people I've heard they know this, and I think it's really something you guys want to hold on to. So, thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Lisa Jensen Fellows. I live at 44 Neshoba Road. I've been an Acton resident for about 10 years. I came tonight to urge you to take any necessary steps to ensure continued funding for ActonTV. I believe it serves a vitally important role in the democratic functioning of the town. Moreover, it provides valuable education to any residents who'd like to learn about TV and video production. I periodically attend town meetings, special town meetings, and meetings of various town boards and committees. This allows me to stay informed and have a voice in how our community is run. However, it is challenging for most residents to attend such meetings. This is evidenced by the very small percentage of eligible voters who attend town meeting. ActonTV videos these meetings and then posts them so everyone has access. I think this access is vitally important to our democracy, and if necessary, I'm happy to pay for this through increased local property taxes. I hope it doesn't come to that, but my son and children of my friends have attended the video production camps offered by ActonTV. My son also attends the Teen Video Production Club. The camps are very low cost and the club is free. These are wonderful ways to leverage the investment in equipment owned by ActonTV and the expertise of their personnel. The kids enjoy the education and enjoy each other in a safe, positive environment. Given the stressful school environment here in town, it is wonderful that fun, low-stress options like ActonTV camps and video club are available. I'm also happy to pay for this through increased local property taxes. To conclude, I reiterate, please take any necessary steps to ensure continued funding for ActonTV. Thank you.
Thank you.
My name is Theodore Jensen Fellows. I have been an Acton resident for 12 years.
Sorry. Say your name and location again.
Theodore Jensen Fellows. My location is 44 Neshoba Road.
Thank you.
I am asking one thing: to keep ActonTV fully funded so they can continue doing the important work and education they are providing for our community. To begin, I'll give you my connections to ActonTV. About a year ago, my mom saw an ad for a day camp claiming to teach me video production. It was in my age group, and I had been doing video editing for a year or two by then. At the time, I thought I would just learn the basics of film editing. When I went to the camp, I was shown how wrong that statement was. At the end of camp, I was extremely confident in using a switcherboard. On the last day, Patrick saw that I looked old enough for ABEYMP, Acton Boxborough Youth Media Project. He approached me and talked to me about the program. Every week, a group of kids would go and make short films or edits. In addition, we help edit different events like sports meets and the occasional carnival or festival. And it is completely free, except for the pizza. So I said it sounded like fun. It was so much more than fun. It was amazing. You walk in the door and they give you complete creative freedom. Make whatever your crazy mind desires and they will teach you how to do it. Even though I mess up a lot, Patrick and nobody else at ActonTV has ever raised their voice. And I can say with confidence, after only a year, I know the basics of how to run a soundboard. Only a year. This program has no boundaries. Anyone can join, no matter race, age, or disability. It's a thing of beauty. And that's not the only program ActonTV offers. AB Youth Media is one of a plethora of different programs. Programs that, just like AB Youth Media, AB Youth opens its doors to everybody. ActonTV offers education not only inside but outside their walls. Programs that open up worlds and cultures via interviews and talk shows. For example, they interview LGBTQ plus people, giving a voice to a diverse community and the opportunity to look into their culture. I recorded an African-American group of dancers in which they talked about their culture and life just a few months ago. ActonTV is a pioneer of social justice and equality. ActonTV is here and it opens its doors for everybody. Education is crucial. ActonTV is a glimpse into how education could and should be done, a glimpse into a brighter future of education. I have strong beliefs, one of which is that each person should ask him or herself a question. What can I do to better the world around me? As politicians and board members, you can support the enrichment of young people in safe, judgment-free areas like ActonTV. I am asking one thing, to keep ActonTV fully funded so they can continue doing the important work and education they are providing for the community. Thank you, sincerely, Theodore Jensen Fellows.
Thank you. Yeah, you can pull the mic down.
Hi, I'm Rosalie Martin. I live at 71 High Street, Acton. So I just became an ActonTV member, and I just graduated from Westwood State, and I studied communications, and now that I'm out, I want to indulge myself more into productions that I was never able to do at my school. So I'm just going to keep this really quick. I just want to say that being a part of ActonTV, I took a couple of classes there, and I really like them, and I want to do more there. And I also really think that it's a good educational thing of all the videos we've seen and everyone here talking, that if we continue the funding, it will help all different ages, old or young, to become more involved with the digital technology that is arising now, which is convenient. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Great. Mr. Chairman, I'd just say one word on that. That's something I see across the Commonwealth, is that the opportunity for young folks who graduate school and are entering the job market but are looking to expand their skills or to do things in addition to their looking and having a job. And there aren't places that those folks can go to produce video, or at least could do it in an affordable way. And so that's a large group of people that are so well served by Access TV, and that's great to see someone come up and speak about that example here in Acton.
Hi, my name is Newton Taylor, formerly of Acton, I'm in Sudbury now, but, I'm here to stand up for all of them, for everything that they've helped me with, and I'm still a member of the Acton Cable TV. Formerly, I worked with the Department of Defense for 32 years in different divisions, and these guys helped me succeed beyond my reach and gave me something to really use. And I think it's really important that, excuse me, that for every town and city, the way to tie people together, different cultures, age, as everyone else has mentioned here, that's such an important thing. And if you could have this one tool that pulls people together, gets them to work together, different ages, cultures, and it works, I think it's strong to just keep it going and add to it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, I'm Charlie Aronson, Hosmer Street, Acton. I'd like to put two hats on tonight and speak to you both as a participant and a consumer. I participated in ActonTV, and I was a producer, a videographer, an editor, and I learned all those skills there. They were most helpful. It was a great experience, and not only educational, but it was recreational. I also am very happy with their production of town meetings and selectmen meetings. Very often I can't get out on the night, but I can sit home and watch them from there, and that fills me in on local news, which there is a scarcity of sources for. So I support that. As a consumer of Verizon products, I would encourage you, when you talk in your negotiations with them, to address the issue of some sort of cafeteria choice style for programs. There are hundreds of channels that we get, and I only watch a handful. And I know there are a lot more people like me out there, and I think that would be a very useful thing to have. We're spending a lot of money on a lot of programming that never gets consumed. The second thing is their service response. Unfortunately, I've had some problems with my service. I've had pictures breaking up, pictures going blank, and I call them. And if I have to reset my set-top box one more time, I'm sure it'll jump off the shelf. That isn't the problem, but they keep insisting it is. They're not very responsive to anything other than resetting the box. I'm working with them now. It's not over. It's an intermittent problem, and currently it's going away. And so perhaps resetting the box one last time did it. I'm skeptical. Anyway, I would encourage you to address those issues with Verizon. Thank you.
Thank you.
So before you sit down, I do have a question, just to clarify. When you say a cafeteria style thing, are you talking about a la carte, where you can just pick the channels you watch and not have to have an overall package?
It could take many forms, but that would be one.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you for those comments. I think it's important to point out that other than public educational government access programming, the town and this committee has no actual jurisdiction or authority over specific cable programming. However, comments and suggestions are appropriate at this time, but they're not part of the license renewing process. However, we would like to be kept in the loop as you contact the cable providers and try to resolve issues. Please keep us informed. It helps us be more effective in our job, even though we don't have any specific authority to tell Verizon how they operate their business.
Just one caveat to that. On the customer service part, the committee does, it's stated have jurisdiction, but on the programming, the best the committee can do is, besides your work, is to express that to the companies. Now, that can make a difference if they hear from enough folks. The thing that the Board of Selectmen of the committee has done to give subscribers or potential subscribers the best opportunity to be heard is bringing in the second company, and the sense that if there's enough interest in something and one company does it, then the other company might. And we've seen that in high definition where RCN, or a smaller cable company, and then Verizon started providing high definition as talked about, and then Comcast, through some legislative pressure and consumer pressure, has now done the same. So those programming comments can be passed on. It's just that, as stated by the chair, there's no legal authority to require them to do something. And I know you weren't asking that, but something can be passed on. Thank you.
Okay, our next speaker.
I'm Dr. Irina Kols. I'm a host of show Taste of Change. And since I became a member a year ago, and we record this show. It is health and wellness show, which allows people to improve general health and to fight obesity. And we record it in 2 languages, in English and in Russian. And community waiting for it. I'm getting questions when is next show is coming. Guys have amazing kitchen, which allows us to record really professional cooking show. That is not actually cooking show, it's about the right choice and many tips of like health tips. And during this year, I learned a lot. So we are like a family. They helped a lot, they're always friendly, they always support us. And I have full access to the system, and we started a new project now to cut our longer videos to shorter episodes to catch the attention span of people so they can easier to digest it. And yes, people are waiting for this and asking for this, and thank you. It will be great if we be able to continue to make people healthier. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Stacy Keller. I live at 319 Arlington Street. I don't have anything prepared to say, but I was compelled to come up and speak. I'm the mother of a 13-year-old who's been involved in the Acton Youth Media Project Club for the past year. 1 year ago, I knew nothing really about ActonTV other than you could, catch a Board of Selectmen meeting or watch town meeting and know when to drive over to the school to vote. But this club has really opened up a new world for my son, and he's found his passion. It's his happy place. He just will spend as many hours there as possible. This week he's a counselor at the kids camp. And it's just done wonders for him, and I could see him, if he didn't have to go through the rest of his school, he could just go out in the field now and work in a professional environment. That's how much he's learned in the 1 year working with these guys. So I hope that the funding can continue. Thanks.
Thank you.
Hello, my name is Sanjit Bhatt. I'm 27 Lexington Drive, Acton. I'm a recent graduate from Acton-Boxborough Regional High School. So I want to start by talking about some of my experiences with ActonTV that have gone on for pretty much the better part of this decade. So I started engaging with ActonTV in a camera camp that was about 7 or 8 years ago. They taught me a lot about filmography and how to get the correct shot, how to line things up, and make content that people really enjoy, and how to get your ideas across. So that was when I was in about 5th or 6th grade, and then after that I started volunteering quite regularly with the organization. I was going to baseball games and filming those, and football games, and that was also, my neighbor is Hamsha Naidu. She produces the show Flavorful Eats on ActonTV. So I was doing a lot of film work for them. And then finally in high school, I actually organized my entire Eagle Scout project around ActonTV. I was painting a green screen there, and also painting some of the kitchen set. So throughout all this experience that I've had in this organization, there's a couple things that stand to mind. The first is all the people that I've worked with in this organization, Pat and Mark especially. These people are some of the nicest people that I know. They taught me a lot about film work, first of all, but also about how to work in a professional environment. Again, my Eagle Scout project, they taught me a lot about how to interact with adults and get things done professionally. And the second thing that I want to emphasize is, and especially this is directed towards the cable companies and the FCC with the ruling here, is that as you can see from everyone who's spoken today, these organizations such as ActonTV provide a lot of value to the community that it can't be measured in quantifiable terms. This value, such as education of students, putting knowledge out there for the functioning of our democracy, and allowing citizens to express themselves in their own ways and put it out there for public access. This value is something that can't easily be quantified, yet is so important. So I think Verizon should definitely be considering this when they come to the table for renegotiations. Thank you.
Thank you.
Vivian Birchall, Wampus Avenue. I wanted to add my voice in support of our renegotiated contract with Verizon, and here's the reason. My journey started in Africa, in the hills of southwestern Uganda. 3.5 years ago, I found myself in Acton. What's the first question people ask when they see a non-familiar face? Where do you come from? Oh, Africa. What part of Africa? Do you have cars? Do you have all kinds of things? So just something tickled me inside, and I said, I need to find a way to tell the African story not to just one person, but to my community. And roads led me, 2 years ago, actually this month, roads led me to ActonTV. And in I walked. Patrick was the first person I met, and I said, hey, I want to start a show. Remember, I had zero experience in editing, producing, being in front of the camera, or anything of the sorts. He said, oh, okay, what's it about? I said, Africa. He said, cool. When do you want to start? I said, as soon as I can. And he said, okay, let's organize studio time. And I walked into the studio with a grinding stone. I think it was a grinding stone. My 2 little girls, who are half American, half African, and I started just creating a story about Africa. And I got so many responses from people say, oh, so this is Africa. And it created more interest, and people started trying to find the truth about Africa. Why am I telling you all this? I'm just trying to emphasize the power of media that is not being sponsored by people who want a message out. Stories that are told, content that is created by the local people that relate with the day-to-day person. We are surrounded by all kinds of media, news and TV, reality, virtual realities. But then when we come down to cable, it's created by the people who are living the real life, the students, the camera people, the teachers, politicians, local leaders, and there is no other space other than local cable for this kind of content to be created. So I humbly urge Verizon, please listen to all these voices that have spoken. It's not a lie. It is the truth. We need local cable. Please give it to us. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, my name is Karthik. I'm from 6 McLeod Lane. I'm here to speak on behalf of my son. My son, as Sanjit said, has been there for the last couple of years. He started when he was 6th grade. So he went to multiple camps, he learned recording, editing, and he loved editing, and he's kind of, some of the editing he has done is professional kind of editing. One of the fair things that he did was, he was recording a live basketball match. The amount of independence, the amount of freedom these guys get, and the leadership qualities that the students inculcate, I have seen some of them. A lot of my son's friends also go to the same camp. The way they, be it Pat or Matt, they kind of, the freedom that they give, the training that they give, it gives a lot of confidence to these kids. And personally, the other thing I liked was coverage of the school committee. I don't know how many of you remember, a couple of years ago, we had an incident where the superintendent had to leave. And I work in Cambridge, and we have a small kid at home, so both of us couldn't attend the school committee. And ActonTV's coverage was excellent, that we were able to be watching a lot of the up-to-date light from our house. I don't have any major proposal for Verizon, but one of the things I could ask is a lot of people who have cut the cable and they just enroll only for the wireless, maybe they can come up with a plan to buy the local channels, even if they are only with the Wi-Fi, a wireless plan. Try to come up with something where they can fund for the local channels for an additional amount. That might be something that they can consider, because a lot of them are cutting the cable. There is quite a few proportion of people who are just subscribing to other things other than having the cable. So, but they have to sign up for the internet for other things. So the internet providers are being Comcast and Verizon. We could probably try to give them an option of trying to see for all the people who do not have cable at their home to subscribe to this channel by paying a few fixed amount in addition to the internet plan they have.
Well, thank you. Next speaker, please.
Alma Sandman, 18 Arborwood Road. I'm also the Vice Chair of the Board of the Council on Aging. I'd like to reiterate what Bonnie Lobel had in her letter. And in particular, I am really excited every year when we have graduation, and I don't have to, even if I don't have a child there, I like to watch it. So I'm glad that that is there. But I'd like to say that I think we do need some emphasis put on electronic programming. Is that what you were referring to? Because I personally, I don't watch this ActonTV as often as I should, and I sat here watching this and I was appalled that I was missing so much, and I wouldn't be missing it if I knew it was there as I'm scanning through, and I too am a Verizon customer. And I understand that we're all here saying why we like it. I don't understand it. Could you clarify the process? You're hearing all the why we want it to stay, but what's the process to get it to Verizon, to get Verizon to put more money into it or to maintain it? Somehow I missed the whole, what do we do from here?
Let me take it, or you want to? Whatever you prefer. Go ahead, Bill.
Again, William Solomon. The committee will take this ascertainment hearing together with the other ascertainment they've been doing. For instance, putting together a capital plan for the facility and for equipment, putting together the needs for the institutional network, putting together the needs for ActonTV to operate, improve, and expand PEG access. They'll take all of this, very much this hearing included, and create a report that they will provide to Verizon. We will sit down at the table. That's the great thing about cable licensing, because it's local, because it goes back, it's based on a Cable Act, a federal law, that incentivizes both sides to figure out what's important, to sit down and to negotiate the terms of that license. As they say sometimes, if they ask Google or Facebook or Apple to be here in 2 weeks, no one will come. That's not true for a cable company. It wasn't true for Verizon until they started getting a cable license. To their credit, they accept the localism of cable. So then the committee will sit down have communication with the Board of Selectmen, and I believe we'll be able to reach a fair agreement, particularly with the support that's been shown here. If more is needed, then there'll maybe be more of a formal process, but it's very much sitting down at the table, figuring out the needs, talking about that, and reaching a license. That is now doable. As time goes along, partly because Verizon has 1 foot in the door and 1 foot out the door, and for some other reasons, that may be more difficult. But I believe that the timing here is good for Acton, and that the committee will try to work in an expeditious fashion to reach a good license. At the moment, I think that it will be successful. But again, as time goes along, we'll see Verizon's approach to local licensing.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker, please.
I'm Judy Hodge at 111 High Street, and I just wanted to comment that with the demise of so many local newspapers and the consolidation of news by more and more conglomerates, and including on the internet, and it's just so welcome to see local coverage and not just of news and not filtered through an agenda, but just delivered to the public on a local basis, because it's apparently less available in other ways now than it is through this access cable TV.
Thank you very much. That was an excellent comment.
Janet Adachi, 2 Simon Hapgood Lane. I don't have anything exciting, romantic, anything interesting to say about my use of the ActonTV services. I have wanted to get trained on some of the camera work, but I was on the Board of Selectmen for 9 years. I'm 4 months recovering from that, and one of the things I did this afternoon was spent a good couple of hours reading about this whole FCC regulation change and the impact it will have on other communities that are worried about the same thing. I don't doubt, based on the testimony here, that there is a lot of interest in keeping ActonTV in its current state, if not more funded. Maybe there's a need to diversify the revenue source. I think there's been conversations about that. I think, though, that the cable companies do need to provide some funding, and frankly, the franchise license that they're paying for is for the air. It's the public access to the public airways. All of us own that. And so, and I understand from what you said that the towns are not allowed to charge more than 2% of, I guess, the local revenues and the gross revenues locally, which is a pittance. And now what the proposal is to have this sort of market value of in-kind and whatever services the cable companies have provided to make the PEG services possible, have that offset the 2%. I mean, some of the 2%
Just for the record, Bill's mic was off. It's 5%.
Oh, 5%, well, 5, anyhow. But it is really a pittance, and I think that, frankly, when you're negotiating, I don't know how much leverage you have if this regulation that is still subject to public comment becomes final. But I think you should push back. I don't think the cable companies have been suffering by providing this extra service for PEG services locally. I honestly don't think so. It'd be interesting to know how they've been kind of dealing with that in their books for the past however many years that they've had to provide this extra funding for local services, because now I don't think that they have been suffering. And I think that there's a huge value locally to having those services continue. So they're big companies. So, and I have nothing against big companies, but I happen to think that they probably have a little bit more that they can cough up and still make a pile of money. So that's all. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, Franny Osmond, 16 Half Moon Hill. I just wanted to speak up briefly about my support for ActonTV. I mean, from making a 25-minute video about 7 years ago, I felt like every time I came in, it sort of served as art therapy. And in addition to that, I first got trained at the high school by Rick Deegan, and every time I've picked up that camera, I've learned a little bit more, and going to an editing class, etc. I find it's a way to learn. It also has served very useful if I want to research something that's gone on in our community. I was a selectman for a while, and I would use it to understand how a meeting went a few years ago, and I would look and listen to that meeting and listen to what people said. There are so many ways it helps in daily life, and I just think it's a creative outlet. I mean, it's just a really fun opportunity just sitting there for people to use, and obviously they are. So I just want to support it.
Thank you.
All right, all honesty, I was a selectman too. Not that it matters. Good evening, my name is Mike Gowan, 93 Harris Street. I'm also the board president of ActonTV. First, I'd like to thank the ladies and gentlemen of the Cable Advisory Board and our attorney, Bill Solomon, for holding this hearing, and many of you who have come out tonight in support of ActonTV. I'm impressed. So, first, a bit of history. ActonTV began in 2010, which makes it a precocious 9-year-old. It was started when Comcast told the town that they were no longer going to support a studio in town due to the competition brought by Verizon, which had no such obligation. The chair of the select board at that time asked that a nonprofit 501c3 corporation be created, and Acton Community Access Television was soon born. Over the intervening years, we've changed locations at the studio 3 times, each to increase the size and capabilities to bring elite programming to our town, and we changed our name to its current moniker, ActonTV. Technologically, we have had 3 channels of standard definition that we've had for the past 20 years. And think back about what technology was 20 years ago. We've grown considerably since the early days. We now boast 3 separate sets in the studio: our traditional set, our chroma key, our green screen, and our kitchen set, which now produces 7 different cooking shows each month. As a matter of fact, we now produce, on average, 29 new shows per month. So you want to talk about local programming. And we're not limited to the studio. We also sport our ActonTV van to take the studio with us on site, which allows us to cover all of AB's football games, both home and away. You may have seen it out in the parking lot. We've won many regional and national awards for our programs, so it's quality versus quantity. No, quality and quantity. ActonTV's been able to do all of this with 3 key elements: our dedicated staff, our support from the community, and the PEG funding we receive from the town. And as we move forward, I would ask that Verizon continue to support us at the maximum percentage allowed from PEG fees, and also allow us high-definition channels with an electronic programming guide. This would bring us up to the HD channel range on cable, and that most people watch, and allow us to post what is happening on our channels in their guide. Again, I want to thank you all for your continued support, and thank you all too.
Thank you.
Good evening, gentlemen. My name is Mike Callahan, Hosmer Street, longtime resident and small business owner, North American Seal Coat. You may have seen my signs, 1-800 lay down. They're all over the place. And I've heard some great stories of how much these people mean to the community. And I'd like to share one story of how it actually saved a life. A close friend of mine was suffering from 8 forms of cancer, and I was the exclusive videographer for the first New England Cannabis Convention, which wouldn't have been possible without the help and equipment from ActonTV. And through that, I did a lot of research and put a lot of time in the studio with various guests from nationally known physicians and law enforcement officers in support of legalizing cannabis. This was before it was legalized. And my close friend was on 17 different medications. And until she started learning about CBDs and cannabis and the medical miracles that it provides, she couldn't even walk up and down the stairs. And once she started using cannabis, her whole life improved drastically. She could walk up and down the stairs, and she has a life once again. And much of these things that are out there, many people don't realize what is out there. And ActonTV has helped provide a platform for getting this information out to the general public. So I, for one, hope nothing changes, or if it does change, it in a better direction and improves it, because I think they've done a great deal of good. And I know of one person, she was given 3 months to live, and that was 3 years ago, before she started using cannabis and THC and the benefits. So I know one person whose life it saved. Who knows how many others may have seen the programming and may also have improved their life as well. So that's it. That's all I get to say, and thank you for your time.
Thank you.
My name is Chris Flisher. I live at 178 Flag Hill Road in Boxborough, that little hamlet down the street. We are also part of your community, and we appreciate everything that ActonTV has done for us. I am the host of a show. I've been there. Created 64 episodes of a half-hour show that I've produced myself with Rick about astrology. I know it's not your everyday topic, but people do like it. And my show is distributed through PEG Media to 32 states at 64 stations across the country. So this television show, which started here, where I got my training, where I learned everything, is now going across the country. And I even heard it was picked up in South Africa somewhere, but I don't know that for sure. And I also spent time in the control booth filming these wonderfully exciting town council meetings for Sudbury. And I got my training through Rick and through Mark so I could run the control board. At the time, I was laid off from the telecommunications business. I was 58 years old, so I'm not going to get hired again. So it was time to find a part-time job, and I was able to do that through Rick and Mark and their training for me, and which I now do for some of the smaller educational access stations around the area. I do as freelance work for them. So without their support, without their knowledge, without their technology, without their professionalism, without their friendship, I wouldn't have that. And I'm very grateful for them, and I want you to encourage you all to keep this station afloat. Thank you.
Tara Fredericks, West Acton. I wait to the end whenever I can because I talk all the time. With your indulgence, I have two questions for Bill Solomon, and then I have my comments. May I ask a couple questions and then provide a comment?
Sure.
Okay. So, Bill, when you mentioned that, and hi, by the way, thank you very much for your work. Thank you. We
Nice to
worked
see
together
you.
on the last.
20 years.
One of these, yes. So, appealed by who? Oh, okay, I was a selectman too, like everybody else in this section.
Well, actually, not when I was first here.
Yes, I was on the cable committee.
On the cable
I was
committee,
fresh
yes.
out of GTE. Now,
Yes.
now is part of Verizon, interestingly. So for disclosure purposes, I'm a shareholder of Verizon, but happy to pay this darn fee. So appeal by who? Who would appeal these rules by the FCC?
Yeah, the appeals basically all set up. There was the initial case where the FCC lost. It goes to the appeals court. It's the appeals court in the, I think it's the Fourth Circuit. Montgomery County is the lead appellant. They'll be joined by a group of other cities, including California. There's councils for those communities. There are amicus briefs, including by the Alliance for Community Media, represented by Attorney Jim Horwood. So the good guys will be well represented. And the big first issue out of the box will be whether or not the court grants a preliminary injunction. That would be very helpful. I think there's a reasonable chance because there'll be substantial harm that's impacted before the court case is decided. That's one of the major prongs, as you know, for a preliminary injunction. And you can't be too optimistic, but I think there's an excellent case. It's hard when you're making whole cloth. It's harder to defend. So I think we're guardedly optimistic that the appeal could succeed at the appeals court level, and hopefully that'd be the last level it would go to.
Thank you. If they need us or would like us to write letters like we did last time, please let us know. The second question is, Bill, who pays you? I can't remember. Is it come out of fees or is it paid for by the town?
And I'm not sure how what source of funding the town uses for that. I should say that for various reasons, the cost is very low, but
Yes.
but more complicated than we can go into. But that's, actually, that's my pleasure. I've enjoyed working for Acton for 20 years, and I enjoy working for PEG Access. But what is paid comes from the town, and town could use franchise fee money to pay for it, but more often towns use budgetary money. But in comparison, regardless of what I'm paid, in comparison to what's been brought in, I should say, and you know this better, when the first Comcast license actually with the Cablevision license was reached, there was a joint studio out of the Acton High School run by Comcast, and Rick was one of maybe two people, and it was, for Comcast, it was actually a well-run studio. But in comparison to what's been built in the last 10 years, it dwarfs that. So Acton, to its credit, has made a great deal from the PEG Access money, which has been substantial, but has made a great deal of that in both public education and government, to its great credit. And one final note, not a lot of people from Comcast get hired in PEG Access. Oftentimes folks move in a different direction, but Rick's work was so fantastic, and it's continued, so he stands out in that regard.
Thank you, and it's a testament to how the in-kind donation in the past it blossomed when we actually got the cash.
Yeah, I should say, just for what it's worth, and the former selectman, well-spoken, I wish I could read something 3 hours before this hearing and be as thoughtful and knowledgeable and articulate. But that's the term that's used by the FCC, in-kind, sort of like donation, but only the FCC views that as something that they were doing out of the charity of their heart that they should stop doing. And by the way, if it was a donation, then it wasn't involuntary, and why should they not continue to do it? But they were part and parcel of providing cable service. I should say one quick point. The cable Television Association argued that capital dollars that come in, which are outside of the 5%, could only be used for the facility itself, the idea of the box around the studio, but not what's inside. And so, there were ridiculous arguments that was made. That was ignored by the FCC. But really, they're not donations or in-kind contributions. They're requirements that have been done.
Thank you. And then I'll get to my comments. Basically, as far as I'm concerned, a local access is a matter of democracy. To get access to the broadcast medium in an independent fashion, as other people have said, and I'm saying it again because Bill says it helps, and it would be easy to just tax our way into keeping the ActonTV studio in operations. But by allowing these companies to push their costs to the taxpayer would be subsidizing private profit. These companies with million-dollar salaries are not short on cash. Further, they used their common carrier status to gain rights of way under the presumption of basic services. In phone service, this was 911 using line power, where you could pick up your phone anytime, even if the power was off, and it still worked. And universal service, and they're squirming out of that now, trying to force migrate people off of copper. And in cable TV, it's PEG Access and iNet. That's how they got their common carrier. It's not the common carrier in cable, but it's something else. The point is they dug up the roads, guaranteeing that they would give us this stuff. Then we give them all the rights and access and authority and privileges. They get all their money, and then they want to take it away. To me, that's whatever that's called, it's a contract. Profit is not a right, especially under the state constitution of Massachusetts. All corporations must serve the social compact. So under the rights of way, the granting of access, the roads and trade for access to us, to our TVs in a sense, in trade for that, they were ensuring our access to those same airwaves, as Janet said, even though it's cable TV, it's still a sine wave through a wire, so I'll go with it. Just like a ramp, a wheelchair ramp to get into the building. PEG and iNet is a wheelchair ramp to our media, to access this media, the independent media, the only independent media that is on our TVs. In our history, and Bill, you know, I know all this, but for the audience, we created the strongest license in the US in terms of service level agreements, the time that they had to fix things, the INET, the infrastructure. We did that, and we can do it again. These FCC rules, as they call them, are a presumption of preemption, where the federal government overreaches with myths about the federal government rules. But over and over and over again in utility law, we see that it's better left to the states. Why? Because the federal government doesn't actually have the authority to preempt unless there's a public necessity and a public emergency. In the old days, it was getting the radio telegraph across the country and with the little towns standing in the way. But we don't have that now. We don't have a public necessity to force the towns to grant them the access to our eyeballs. So Acton has the resources and the will, I hope, I believe so, to fight. And let's do it for this town, let's do it for the country, and for every town who can't afford to fight. Thank you very much.
Thank you. I don't see any other speakers at the mic. Oh,
Sorry, nope.
we have one other speaker. Go ahead.
Good evening. I'm James McCrae. I'm the District Director of Veteran Services for Acton and Boxborough. Over the years, ActonTV has been an excellent resource covering different veterans events in town, Memorial Day, Veterans Day, annual Veterans Breakfast. So just very thankful that we have a resource like that in town. In addition to that, just in general, they've been a great resource just to get the word out about veterans benefits to people in the local level. So, thanks.
Thank you. Yeah, go right ahead. So, Brendan, well, do we have more public?
Do you have an agenda item for INET, or did you want to just hear about it
I'm
now?
good with it. I want to make sure the public has had a chance.
Sure.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Diana Nestorova. I'm a resident, Acton resident of 11 years, and I am a member of Acton Boxborough Rotary Club. And I'd like to share our sheer pleasure to collaborate with ActonTV for the past 3.5, 4 years. They are a member of our club, and it's been a very close friendship, a very good collaboration. They gave us an opportunity to show to our community and beyond our community what we do for the greater good of our residents and of the people around the world. And we actually heard it all. We heard that ActonTV tonight is a resource, a great resource, an educator. It inspires us all. It helps small businesses, service organizations, clubs. It saves lives. It helps people with their health issues. It entertains, it gives an opportunity to everybody to see what's going on in our community. So it will make us more connected to our community. And they always do it with high professionalism, patience, they have a vision, they are always flexible, and always do it with love and passion and smile. So they give us all this open window to see our community and our world, and why would we want to close the window? We need to do whatever it takes to continue funding of ActonTV. Thank you so much.
Hi, my name is Kelly Jenkins. I live at 110 Sacramento Drive in Leominster. I'm a producer of a show at ActonTV, and what that what ActonTV gave me is something that can never be taken away. It gave me a voice. And the voice it gave me was one of confidence and one of education. I refused to have a show when I was first asked. Mark, who is a very strong friend of mine, a very, very passionate friend of mine, asked me several times to share my story from ActonTV. I moved here from Tennessee in 2014, and I told him, no, I'm not ready to share my story with the world. He didn't give up. Instead, he passionately, compassionately, and maybe a little bit of prodding, continued to hammer at me that I need to tell my story, I need to tell my story. And I refused to do it for over a year. And then he hired Patrick, and I'm sure he did it on purpose just to get me to have a show. But what happened after I said yes to that was I gave a voice to a group of people that a lot of times do not have a voice. As a transgender woman moving here from Tennessee, the last thing I wanted to do was to talk to the world about who I am. But because of their compassion, they're willing to have a freedom of speech and allow it to happen. They've allowed me to bring this controversial subject on television, and I'm sure they take heat from it because I know that I'm pushing envelopes. But he's done it wonderfully. He's always told other people, produce your own show and come on and tell us why you think that Kelly is let's talk about this. And instead of shutting down the people that are controversial, he invites them to come tell their story and to get true debate going. And that is something that this country needs, is the ability to talk to one another. And he invites it, and I'm forever grateful for you. Thank you.
Thank you. I don't see any other speakers, so Brendan Hearn of the town of Acton wants to talk about INET and share with us the benefits and utility.
Yeah, Brendan Hearn, actually not the town of Acton in this context, with the Acton-Boxborough Regional Schools.
I'm sorry, I said it wrong.
It's all good. So I'm the technical operation manager for EdTech Media Services. We've heard from a number of folks over the course of the evening talking about a lot of the benefits provided through the Access and Technology Fund and therefore through ActonTV. One that the superintendent didn't mention earlier, and this is certainly a big gesture from ActonTV, is their commitment to help build out a new broadcast equipment package in a new school committee meeting space. For those of you who watch meeting coverage on TV, you'll notice a pretty dramatic difference between school committee meeting coverage and other board coverage that takes place in this room. So getting that equipment upgraded in a new facility is going to be a huge benefit to both the school committee trying to get their message out, as well as the community at large. In any case, I wanted to speak specifically about the INET, or the institutional network. Mark Hald, speaking on behalf of the town, spoke a little bit about how the town utilizes that network. So this is a pretty massive technology infrastructure, fiber infrastructure, that sort of was set into motion, as Mark mentioned, 2 licenses ago in 1990 or so, closer to 2000. In any case, it consists of sort of 3 pieces. A video forward path that brings, as Mark mentioned, video transmission to about 40 plus sites between the town and the schools. The schools utilize that to this day to get access to a system called EMARP, or Educational Municipal Access to Residential Programming, meaning it's a way for the schools to tune in without the need for an expensive cable converter in every single classroom, or whichever spaces we need to show video, to tune into residential cable. And we have about 30 channels brought to us through this system. That's important in school, maybe not every day, but certainly when there's important educational events going on in the world and the community. TVs available throughout the district are fed from that cable TV system, that EMARP system. In addition to this video forward path, in other words, video coming from the center point out, there's a video return path, which, although it's not as critical to the schools, it's really managed a function of ActonTV, but it's the method in which we are able to broadcast video from this room, from the high school in the case of town meeting, from the junior high school and soon to be admin building in the case of school committee meetings, out to the community at large for live broadcast. That's an incredibly critical piece. Like I said, perhaps not under the umbrella of the things the schools are concerned about, but something that is critical to the operation at large. And the final piece of the INET system is this data network that exists. So while the video components are, of course, extremely important, a data link, as Mark mentioned, is critical on the town infrastructure side as well as the schools. We use that data network for a lot of similar data transmission between, especially between our outlying elementary schools, that's Conant, Douglas, Gates, in order to get the data, including, of course, the internet, which is playing an increasingly important role in the schools these days, but as well as our local resources, servers, security, telecommunications, two-way radios, and all of that type of student information data exchanged securely and safely between all of our various sites. So that's about it. I just wanted to elaborate on some of those benefits of the INET at large. Thanks very much.
Thank you. So I now turn to the other members of the Cable Advisory Committee. If any of you have any questions or comments you'd like to share.
I'd just like to thank everyone who came out tonight to support ActonTV and to show interest in this contract negotiation. And I want to point out to anyone from Verizon who's watching or watches this later that for every person who shows up or gets up here to speak, there's 20 or more people who couldn't make it tonight or who just don't want to speak in public. So there are a lot more people than you even see in this room who want to continue this funding, and I thank everyone who showed up tonight.
Anyone else? All right, then I will also thank the ActonTV school system and the town for the participation, as well as members of the public. You guys have really come out in droves, and I appreciate the crowd that we have here. Before closing this public hearing, I note that the town reserves the right to hold additional hearings if deemed necessary. This hearing is, as previously stated, part of the continuing ascertainment process, and a video record of these proceedings are being produced. With that, I now close this public hearing, subject to the right to hold additional hearings in the future. Thank you all, and good night. For the record, it is 8:46 p.m. Thank you.